every once in a great while, a film comes along that delights and dazzles and unites us. It transcends the boundaries and barriers of a humdrum everyday life, and it truly speaks to the soul of what it means to be human. Disney has managed to do that with their new live-action adaptation, Snow White, based on their own 1937 animated classic that still enchants and delights millions of young children to this day over generations. How did Disney manage this? Obviously, they were respectful of the source material, the generational fans, and they made sure to include those elements that are timeless and honorable, such as true love conquering all, even death. I'm just kidding. Disney absolutely dropped the ball, and the reason people are uniting over this film is because it is horrible. Let's get into this. Of all the places we could start with this movie, we're going to start with the one nearest and dearest to my heart personally, the music.
Just whistle while you work.
Hi-ho, 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 it's home from work we go.
Now, admittedly, Snow White was not my favorite Disney princess growing up. And of the original 3 princesses, Sleeping Beauty, Cinderella, and Snow White, she was not my favorite either. The first being Sleeping Beauty, the second being Cinderella, and the third being Snow White. That's not anything against Snow White, I just happen to love Sleeping Beauty and Cinderella a little bit more. However, I am absolutely in love with the music of the original 1937 animated classic. One song, which is Prince Charming's solo that does not get the recognition it needs or deserves,
One song
is one of the best, most lyrically romantic songs in any Disney movie, or any movie for that matter, ever. You also have the Wishing Well song.
I'm wishing for the one I love.
Someday My Prince Will Come.
Someday my prince will come.
Hi Ho, Hi Ho.
Hi-ho, 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 it's home from work we go.
And Whistle While You Work.
Just whistle while you work.
These songs are genuinely timeless, and their influence on pop culture and culture in general cannot be denied. Disney looked at that and said, nope, no thanks. We know better now. We're smarter than we were back in 1937. Never mind that we don't even know how to animate like that anymore. So instead of sticking with these incredible original songs, Disney decided to can all of them. And the 2 that they did keep, they altered in such a way that it literally made them sound hollow.
Hi-ho, it's off to work we go. It's rise and shine.
Each day is mine.
Hi-ho.
Now you wash the dishes. You tidy up the room.
Come on.
You clean those cobwebs. And he'll use the broom. Whistle while you work.
And the new songs we get are some weird feminist power fantasy fever dream manifestation. And I can't lie, Rachel Zegler has a great voice, but it is completely wasted on these horrific songs.
The girl I meant to be, is she a part of me?
Charming speech, but are you done? None for all and all for none. Such a gift of hope you give.
Yeah, well, hope's in short supply.
But still we have to try.
Not only does Waiting on a Wish fundamentally change Snow White's character to a degree that is unrecognizable, it changes everything about the story and why she is actually the fairest of them all. Instead of getting a song about hope and true love and overcoming difficult times and situations no matter what and not allowing it to turn you bitter, her song is about manifestation and not waiting around for someone else to do something for you, but instead taking charge and becoming the leader that you always knew you were. You just needed everybody else to tell you how fantastic you are. It is truly wild that this is where we have landed. Especially that when you consider all of the songs, the entire film cost over $250 million. And every single one of the songs came off like a high school theater musical stage production. That's nothing against high schools. They do great work for what they are doing. They don't have a $250 million plus budget that they're working with. They have like a $2,500 budget that they're working with, and that's being wildly generous. Now when you consider the messaging of those songs, you were always perfect, you were always brave, you were always the best. You just needed to realize that you were even better than the perfection that you always knew that you were. And we're going to affirm you. We are going to manifest everything that you want, and it's going to be apple pies in the sky, and everybody is going to get everything, and nobody is going to have to work.
No offense, but it sounds like some f***ing commie gobbledygook.
That is an actual fairy tale. Well done, Disney. You may have just found the actual fairy tale. The Grimm version, by the way, because that's how everybody starves. Have you never read The Grasshopper and the Ants? Or the actual Snow White fairy tale? I recommend both. There is something to be said about timelessness and tradition, and there is a reason that the original still enchants people to this day, and why this one is not only flopping at the box office, but is going to be forgotten by everybody, especially Disney execs who just want to shove this under the rug and move on. Rounding out this complete failure of a soulless remake are the CGI abominations that are the dwarves. We will say nothing of the woodland creatures because they just looked not even CGI fake, but uncanny valley fake. If you know, you know. Not only were the dwarves the stuff of nightmares, they didn't fit within the scenery. It wasn't properly laid over. The job was not done well. So no real dwarves in the 7 CGI dwarves, except for one voice actor who was voice acting one of the dwarves, Grumpy. So I'm not sure why the communities who are usually all up in arms about this stuff are not currently all up in arms about this stuff, because I thought only dwarves could play dwarves. I'm confused. Come on, people. Be consistent at the very least. Then you have the bandits, which are not Prince Jonathan's trope of people, who follow him around and steal things, and they call him the king of the bandits. He's the rightful king. He's the one that they serve. Why has Snow White run off into the forest? Because she's heard the bandits fight in the name of the true king. Jonathan is their true king because they are trying to justify theft. But then, because he sings a terrible song with her,
Well, that sounds an awful lot like princess problems.
he realizes that he's made a mistake, he can do better, and maybe they shouldn't be stealing things from people and just be kind. So he takes an arrow for her, and then she has the audacity to call him selfish.
I'm pretty sure Jonathan only cares about himself.
It's wild. There is no chemistry between anybody that is actually a real person. Obviously, there's no chemistry between all the CGI dwarves and the CGI birds. And how does this fantastic story end? With a very monochromatic, and I mean wildly monochromatic party that I don't even really understand the words, but you do hear the chorus of, and that's about it. Now, how did we arrive at this monochromatic party? Well, I'm glad you asked. We just completely rip off an entirely different iteration of Snow White. It was called Snow White and the Huntsman, and except for the actress who was playing Snow White, it was actually a really good film. I strongly recommend Huntsman Winter's War. Chef's kiss. That one was done fantastically.
Will bring fear.
They completely ripped off that ending. The evil queen, because it was briefly explained at the very beginning with one line by the narrator, that the mirror held the queen's magic. She gets mad because the mirror says Snow White will always be more beautiful than you because her beauty comes from the inside. So while she's been asking this mirror, hey, who's the fairest of them all, the mirror has been gaslighting her to the nth degree. So, in a fit of rage, she picks up her scepter, smashes the mirror, turns to ash, and gets sucked into the magic mirror. This, however, allows them to set up for a sequel, because we know Disney loves those. If this thing gets a sequel, I will laugh all the way to the bank. Just go watch Snow White and the Huntsman. It's a far better movie, and I didn't like that movie either.
What are you gonna do? Be the hero who defeats the mirror and saves the entire kingdom?
I pretty much.
The very last detail that I'm going to hit on is something that every little girl notices. The little girl inside notices. The princess swish. And every girl knows what I'm talking about. We're talking about the dress. How much does it flow? How much does it twirl? How much does it spin? I have compared every Disney princess live action against the only good live action iteration that Disney has ever been able to remake, Cinderella from 2015. Perfectly cast, beautifully done, respectful of the source material, just wonderful. Cinderella's dress, her iconic dress, which is silver, not blue, but I'll let that slide. The gorgeousness and the flow of that dress has made it become a TikTok sensation, an Instagram sensation, a fashion sensation. Thousands, and I'm not exaggerating, thousands of young girls and women have attempted to remake that dress from the live action because it was so beautifully and delicately done. It flows, it ebbs, it spins, it twirls, it flares, it billows. It does everything that a princess dress is supposed to do. Snow White's dress does not do that at all. In fact, most of the time, outside of when she is singing, most of the time, it is stiff. It doesn't move around her, with her. In fact, most of the time, she looks annoyed with the dress. I do not know what happened. I don't know where the fashion breakdown was. I don't know why we are struggle bussing this hard on a dress, especially the iconic Snow White dress. But the idea that she seems to not be able to wait to get out of that dress is a very, very big problem.
If I'm going to stand there 18 hours in a dress of an iconic Disney princess, I deserve to be paid for every hour that it is streamed online.
It seeps through the screen. You can see it in her body language, in her tension, in her face. That is so emotionless through the entire film, unless she's looking smug, that it's just heartbreaking. 0 out of 10 on the dress. Not only is the yellow wrong, there is no whimsy, there is no beauty, there is no princess magic in this dress. And that is solely on the person wearing it and the people who put her in it. My advice to Disney, not that they asked for it, but they're gonna get it anyway. Stop. Just stop. Young girls don't want this. Young boys don't want this. What Zegler did when she called that romance creepy and that the original film was outdated.
Longer 1937.
She's not going to be saved by the prince.
She's not going to be saved by the prince, and she's not going to be dreaming about true love. She's dreaming about becoming the leader she knows she can be, and the leader that her late father told her that she could be if she was fearless, fair, brave, and true. The original cartoon came out in 1937, and very evidently so. There's a big focus on her love story with a guy who literally stalks her. Yeah. Weird. So we didn't do that this time. I was scared of the original cartoon. I think I watched it once and then I never picked it up again. I watched it for the first time in probably 16, 17 years. The cartoon was made 85 years ago, and therefore it's extremely dated when it comes to the ideas of women being in roles of power.
She insulted and belittled approximately 5 generations of fans. 5 generations of little girls who looked at Snow White and thought, I would love for somebody to recognize my inner beauty. I would love for somebody to see me for me. I would love somebody to fall in love with me for who I am on the inside, rather than the rags or the clothes that I was wearing when they saw me. That is what drew the prince to Snow White. It was her beautiful voice and the messaging of that voice. She was yearning for love. She was yearning for someone to find her, that they could find true love. And he, taking the masculine charge, took it upon himself to scale a wall and then come to her side, give her space, but then still convey how he felt about her just because of the beauty of her song and what she was saying in it. Not only was she insulting the girls, she was insulting the boys. Any boy or any man who has ever dreamed of being strong enough and capable enough to take the woman he cares about and deliver her from a situation that is either dangerous or uncomfortable or unsatisfactory, and bring her up and they can grow together. 5 generations of boys and girls, Disney, that's who you insulted. I strongly recommend you take a look in the magic mirror, because I doubt you're gonna like what stares back at you. Thank you so much, everybody. As always, God bless, Godspeed, and I hope that you are all doing well. Until next time.
Well, that sounds an awful lot